Hi, this is Rainer. This is my channel, Rainier Books, and I'm back after like 2 weeks almost of silence from this channel, which you might have noticed that no new video was uploaded. I have been consumed pretty much by following the war in Ukraine, by trying also to do something, to inform myself, to educate myself about what happens there, and maybe also to help some people who are affected by this war. And they come by the thousands, by the hundreds of thousands, by the millions now to Western countries. 2 million refugees in Poland, but also we expect now in Sweden, where we in the beginning expected a couple of thousand, we expect more than 100,000 refugees coming over the next couple of weeks. There's a ferry coming from Gdansk in Poland each and every day, 6 days a week, 6 out of 7 days a week. And this ferry from Gdansk is transporting, as I hear, hundreds of Ukrainians on every tour they are taking from Gdansk to Sweden, to Nynäshamn in the south of Stockholm. And maybe in the next coming weeks I will go down to Nynäshamn to make a film there about Ukrainian refugees sort of coming to that port and taking in the atmosphere there. But here I am on BookTube again, and here I am talking about my TBR for the next couple of weeks, because my TBR has been crashed. It has crashed totally, and I have to build a new one, and here it is. So let's get started. I have to admit that I haven't finished the books that I'm currently reading yet, but some of them I will finish, and I still read The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. And I will finish this, I think, within the next week, as I also will finish The New Age of Empire by Kehinde Andrews. And I will definitely do a single review about this book, which is a political provocation, but also very interesting thesis that Kehinde Andrews is mentioning and writing about in this book. But what are the books that I'm going to read over the course of the next week? Today is March already, March the 25th. Tomorrow is March the 26th. I have here from the Women's Prize. If you've seen my video from the Women's Prize, I said that I'm most interested in one book that was my number one actually on the list, and I already got it from the library here in Stockholm. They sort of notified me, you can pick it up, and I picked it up, and here it is. It's the final revival of Opal and Nev by Dawnie Walton. Never heard of Dawnie Walton before. This is her debut novel, the final revival of Opal and Nev. And Opal and Nev is a duo of musicians. Opal is a black superhero, she is a punk musician, and Nev is a British singer-songwriter, Nev Charles, and they were stars before, and now there's a revival. They are going on tour again in the United States, and the narrator, I understand, of the book has relationships to Opal and her family, and this is all revealed in this book, the final revival of Opal and Nev. And I'm very interested to read it because I'm very interested in music. I love rock music, I love pop music, and I like stories. I also like very much Daisy Jones and the Six, which was a great book by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I'm very curious to read this one here from the women's list. I also have here from my list of Ukraine books that I presented a couple of weeks ago also on this channel when the war started in Ukraine, and when I told you to read Ukrainian authors. I have one author who is writing actually in Russian, but he's a Ukrainian author, and he's very much on the side of the Ukraine also in this conflict. He's currently hiding somewhere in the west of Ukraine, and he's on many lists of Russia. He's on a death list, I've read. And this is Andrei Gurkov, and this is his book Death and the Penguin, which is apparently a very absurd novel, a tragicomic masterpiece. And I have a few weeks to read this because, as you can imagine, people want to read Ukrainian authors right now. As you might know, I have a couple of books that I buy new this year. I've already decided in the beginning of the year when I looked at which books are going to be published, I'm going to buy this and this and this and this. And one of the books that I bought and that I ordered immediately when it was published was Monica Ali's new book, Love Marriage. That is her first novel, I think, in almost 10 years. Monica Ali, I have read her novel In the Kitchen. I still have to read Brick Lane, which is the one actually that made her famous. and gave her a place on the short list of the Booker. She's living in London, and she's of British Asian descent. Here again, we meet two cultures, two families, and two people. Yasmin Garami has a lot to be grateful for: a loving family, a fledgling career in medicine, and a charming, handsome fiancé, fellow Dr. Joe Sangster. But as the wedding day draws closer and Jasmine's parents get to know Joe's firebrand feminist mother, both families must confront the unraveling of long-held secrets, lies, and betrayals. A love marriage is a story of this marriage between people of two different backgrounds, one completely British and one with British Asian background. It's a story about who we are and how we love in today's Britain, with all the complications and contradictions of life, desire, marriage, and family. What starts as a captivating social comedy develops into a heartbreaking and gripping story of two cultures, two families, and two people trying to understand one another. And if you have read one of the books by Monica Ali, you know that she's a very gifted narrator, and I'm really curious to read this book in the next month. And I also have another one, which I'm very happy will be a bookworm adventure girl buddy read with me. And she's from Canada, as you might know, Jolene, and her channel, which I highly recommend. And we are reading in April this book, Canada, Canada, Canada. There's a song by Joni Mitchell, but this is a book by an American author, Richard Ford, Canada. We read this and it plays out in a terrific landscape. You know, I'm a huge fan, and one of my bucket list dreams actually is to travel to the US and to take that train, maybe from Chicago. It's called the Empire Builder. There's a train, the Empire Builder. It goes off in Chicago. It starts in Chicago, goes to Seattle or Portland. But it definitely goes through Wisconsin and Minnesota, and then it goes through Montana and the Big Sky. I want to see the Big Sky. That's one of my big dreams in Montana. And actually, this book is also situated in Montana and also on the other side in Canada, in a beautiful landscape. Canada by Richard Ford. We're going to read this in April. These are the 4 books. I'm very modest now. I want to read 4 books. Maybe there will be more, but these 4 I have on my list, and these 4 I will cling to, I will stick to, and build a completely new TBR, and I will be back on this channel very soon with another video. Tomorrow, I will visit a demonstration in Stockholm, which also will be on the channel, against the war in Ukraine. And on Sunday, I will go and see 2 football games, because the soccer season is starting. The women's soccer season is starting. And as you might know, I also have a blog in Swedish about women's soccer in Sweden. So the first 2 games will be on Sunday outside. I will go and see AIK meet KIF Örebro. And I also will see Djurgården, and they play PTO on Sunday. And I will do some interviews with soccer players, and maybe I will do some interviews with American or Canadian players. So, and maybe I will put some of what they say on this channel as well on Sunday, in my Sunday sum up. So let's see, let's be surprised. And very soon I also will be traveling, and I will make a little video from my travel, which I will do somewhere next week. So the channel will have different things about traveling as well this year, which is new because we haven't traveled the last 2 years here in Sweden that much, and it's back a little bit. I still wear my FFP2 mask when I'm traveling. I'm very careful, but I do it because we will not get rid of Corona for the next couple of years, but we have to be careful. I think if we are careful, we can be somehow safe, and we cannot be safe to 100%. Thanks very much for watching this video, and please support still the cause of Ukraine in this war against Russia. It's our freedom that is at stake. It's our liberty that is at stake, our democracy that is at stake. It's the twilight of democracy, and that's why we all are Ukrainians, and that's why I end this video by saying the 2 words that Ukrainians say a lot these days. They say glory to Ukraine, which means in Ukrainian, Slava Ukraini. Bye-bye.